Hope everybody's doing well. I know there's like a 20-second delay and you will see me in a few seconds, but I hope everybody's doing well. Gonna have a surprise guest here. We're in a little early, but we're gonna have a surprise guest at some point during the discussion tonight, and we got a lot to talk about. Did not get many questions from people today requesting questions for the show. So if there's anything that is on your mind tonight, we're going to get that done. Of course, we're not starting technically yet. This is just a little bit of pre-show action. But why is it so yellow? It's just the lighting in this room. There's one light over here on to the left of me, and that's just the way it goes. I wish I could make it a little bit more white. I think it also has something to do with Wirecast for something. Yep, I know it's yellow. I don't know what to tell you. It's a yellow room. The paint is yellow, and this is, I don't have jaundice or anything like that. But so it's just the way it is. It's not you, it's me, to quote George Costanza. Still got a couple minutes here, and I see everybody's in here. Jessica and Carol and Derek and Cherie and Layla and Jasmine and Little Bit and LaFord and Susan and Thoughts, which is interesting. My thoughts are in here. Miranda. That's hope everybody is doing very well. Try LED bulbs and see. I know you have to remember, Carrie, this isn't my place, so the lighting, the lamps, the light bulbs, those things, not mine. So there's only so much money I want to put into this place, if you know what I mean. Valerie, what's going on? And I hope everybody is doing well. We still got a couple minutes, and let me see what's going on here. Thoughts? As far as audio, I can't help you. I just, if you're tuning in, long-time listener, the audio's getting worse. I don't mean to be personal, but it has to be you. There's something that you're doing. It's not me. In fact, we don't have audio discussions on here anymore. Okay, because I've been through this many times. I don't mean to be personal. I don't mean to be short. I don't mean to be smart or anything. But if you're having audio problems, it's on your end. We've been over this for a few months now. If you're a new listener, you probably don't know about that, and I apologize. But I just don't take audio complaints anymore. I know that makes me sound arrogant or something, but Cherie, other listeners, we've been through this, and what we usually come back to is it is something going on the listener's end that is the problem. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. And that's just the way it goes, all right? You can go into the group. I've made audio suggestions, etc., and the audio is not getting worse. In fact, it's the best it's ever been. All right? Yeah, we've been over this, as Carrie is saying. We've been over this a bajillion times. And I'm sorry that the audio isn't working for you, but I would urge you to look over your setup. You can, and I don't want to, if you're saying, well, other podcasts sound good, I don't know how to help you. I really don't. And I apologize. That is from my heart. I'm not trying to be smart. I'm not trying to be short and everything, but I've investigated this like Columbo. And the result is it's something going on with the people on their end, not on my end. And Derek, as he's saying, it's kind of getting old. Right. All right. So there you go. And we're starting. Thanks for everybody for tuning in tonight. And the computer is charged this time. I'm going to guess we're still maybe going to have a little video issues. I I noticed that maybe my feed from this is a little bit sketchy, but it's just the way it's going to be. Who did I play in Star Trek? I will get to that a little bit. Let me just get some things out of the way. I want to remind everybody right up front that I know it's a while away. It's like over a month away. But there's going to be a meetup for Unfound in Amarillo, Texas on July 24th of 2019. I believe that's a Wednesday, coincidentally. And it's being run by Charmin, Sharim. If you would like to talk to her more in depth about the arrangements and where it's going to be and anything like that, please go to the Unfound Podcast discussion group on Facebook and find Charmin, Sharim. Find her. She has a post up that I saved on there, and you can talk to her, and she will gladly field any of your questions. My belief is that Penny Brown is going to be there. I hope she's going to be there. She was there the last time. I hope she can be there again. And I'm hoping, being that this Friday we are covering an Amarillo case, I'm hoping that the guest and his family and the missing persons family can be there as well. They know about it. I've told him about it, the date and everything. And so I'm hoping that this Friday, as Monica Appleton will be talking about that case later in the show, I'm hoping that they're going to be able to make it as well. All right, that would be great. To have two families there, talk to them, everything. And now a little bit is saying there's also one on July 14th in Dallas. Okay. Well, Emily, my assistant, didn't even tell me about that. The thing she keeps from me a little bit. I didn't know about that. I didn't know that you two had put something together, picked up. That's news to me. You're hearing it first, everybody. So there's going to be a meetup in Dallas on July 14th, which I don't know a day of the week. That sounds like a Saturday or something like that. So that's great. Awesome. Thank you for letting me know. And Emily did not let me know. Maybe she forgot. It was pinned at another one in Dallas. Okay. Okay. Carrie, a little bit just posted that. There you go. So we got Alicia in here and James and Blaze and who do we got? Some other people. Carol, Jasmine, Laura, what's going on? Valerie, thank you. And Cherie is in here. She is wielding the wrench tonight, and I deeply appreciate her doing that. Let's talk about the Christine Hamilton poll from last Friday. A majority of you believe that the stepfather, Mike, Robert Michael Hamilton, we called him Mike during the episode, but his official name is Robert Michael Hamilton, is... no, they're not. Thoughts, Cherie, please handle that. I'm not taking any audio questions anymore. A majority of you said that Mike Hamilton has something to do with the disappearance of Christine Hamilton. I wrote about it in the blog, and that's kind of the result that I came to as well on Patreon. However, my opinion is that there's still so many things up in the air about that because we don't know these names, we don't know these people, and that there's a lot of wiggle room in there. I mean, if we were to find out Joker's real name and find out that he has a long list of harming women, then I think that we're going to have to change our minds. But, you know, what I come back to is what are the odds that of a guy that had those charges against him, even though they were dropped in the 1990s, then is the stepfather to a teenager who disappears? What are the odds of that? That's what I keep coming back to. Maybe this guy just has bad luck, or maybe it's something else. So the Christine Hamilton poll this week. I mean, it seems my perception over like the last 8 weeks when I do those polls. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about regarding the poll, I post a poll in the discussion group every Saturday morning just to see what people were thinking about the case after they listened to it, after they listened to the episode. And this is one of those weeks where we agree. A lot of weeks we don't agree. I don't agree with the listeners. They don't agree with me, and that's great. I don't care either way. I'm not here to be a dictator and say that everybody must think like I do. All I do is present the facts, and then I write some opinions on it at Patreon for those people that support the program. But there's so much wiggle room in Christine Hamilton's case that I can see why people are suspicious of the stepfather. But there's just still a lot that's unknown, unfortunately, 14 years later. But I think these are things that can still be fleshed out even 14 years later. But I appreciate everybody who took part in that poll. Let's see what we got going here. Yes, Cherie, please take care of that. Please do. In the Delaware Valley, you have to know something, Derek. These are things that are put together by the listeners. And so, yeah, there's a way. Derek, if you can find some other people in the Delaware Valley area, which I think I know where that is, absolutely. Absolutely. And I would do everything I could to publicize it. I've not put together any meetups myself simply because I'm too busy, but Charmin did this last summer in 2018, so she has experience. She's doing it again, and it's in a part of the country where there are now a lot of Unfound listeners because of the Thomas Brown case, so that certainly helps. And she has my full support for doing that, as does Little Bit and Emily for wanting to do one in the Dallas area even before that. So that's great. Valerie's saying, I'm married, but my maiden name is Hamilton. My dad's name is Mike Hamilton. Yikes. My dad is a saint. I'm sure he is. Yes, Mike Hamilton, very common name. Of course, when I think of the last name Hamilton, I think of Linda Hamilton, the actress. Laura says, I'm thinking the stepfather in Christine's case, and I'm leaning towards that, but I'm still a little suspicious about the white car. As Laura, as we're all going to be until we find out actually who was driving the white car. All we have is conjecture at this time. South Jersey area, just 14 minutes from the Walt Whitman Bridge. It's in Philly. Okay. All right. Well, if somebody wants to do something in the Philadelphia, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland area, that would be great. And I would do everything I can to publicize it. That would be... no Unfound friends here in Deep South Texas. Yeah, Carrie said, if you all get one together, make a post and discussion group, tag me in the comments, and I will pin it. Yes, Carrie is the official administrator for the group. So yes, she is the person to talk about all of that stuff. South Padre Island, that's good for spring break, Cherie. Miranda, after thinking about it for a while, I'm just starting to think that maybe she did plan to run away, but possibly something happened to her. So Christine, okay, talking about Christine, she's no longer here, or she's being trafficked. Yeah. Yes, okay. So let's bring in, before we can move on to some other things that I want to talk about, I want to bring somebody into the program very quickly. He's very camera shy, people, so please be nice. Okay, he's very camera shy. All right, he's not like his son. His son who's been in entertainment and does this program and everything. But I'm going to bring him into the show right now. Hold on. All right, Dad, come on in here. 30 seconds. All right, here he comes. Yeah, go ahead and sit down. All right, everyone. It's a little choppy over here, but this here is my dad. He's been here for how many? It's been a week now. I picked you up after last Wednesday's program, right? I picked you up at the airport. There, everybody, say hi to everybody, Dad.
Hi, everybody.
All right, this is my dad, and he's going to be here till next Wednesday. And let's see, they're talking right over here. You can see. Hi, Dad. Hey, Papa Denzel. Hello, Dad Denzel. Hey, Ed's dad. And what did we do today? We had some pizza. I went and played some disc golf together, and we played some miniature golf a few days ago. And I took him to Texas de Brazil, and we're gonna go to trivia tomorrow. And we've done some cool stuff. Although I think he thinks I spend too much time at work. All right, and doesn't give him enough dad time. But you can see everybody that's talking or seeing everything. Hello, Mr. Denzel. Hello, Mr. Denzel. Hey, Ed's dad. Hi, Dad. Sheree, see this name right here? She's one of my assistants. Sheree with the blue name.
Yeah,
see her, Dad?
I've heard of her.
All right, I've talked about her. Yes, I have talked about her. And she's one of my right-hand women that helps me do the program along with Emily and a few others. AW says you look great, Dad. So there you go. But I wanted him to make an appearance. You all wanted him to make an appearance a few weeks ago when I told you he was going to be here. So here he is. All right. Thanks for showing up. Would you want to say anything, Dad?
Yeah, I'd like to tell everybody out there that listens to Ed that I'm really proud of him for what he's doing, helping these people that are missing, and especially, helping the families, the relatives, and everybody else concerned. I've been watching him now for a couple years on this program, and he puts a lot of time into it. And I just want to tell you that he's here for you, and he's on the job, and I'm very happy that he is able to make some of you feel a little bit better, about your situations that you're in. It's very hard for you, I'm sure. And I thank God for my son, for the kind of a young man that he is. And that's about it, gang. I'm not real good at speaking, but he'll be on the job for you.
All right. Okay. And I didn't even have to pay him to say that. Yeah. All right, Dad.
Do I look tired? I look pretty bad on there, don't I?
You look great. Okay. Yeah, you look great, Dad. No.
Okay.
Okay. Dad, thanks. There he is. Thanks, Dad. And there you go. That's my dad. Layla said, Daz has a great voice and very well spoken. He needs to be more guest appearances. Okay, we'd have to live here to do that. But proud Papa. So there you go. Thank you, Miranda and Jesse. I'm gonna read all these. These will be, of course, saved for everybody to see. But hi, thank you for all of that. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Dad's a good guy. He's a really good guy. And I didn't know what he was going to say. I did not know he was going to say all that. But we're having a good time. Like I said, though, he probably thinks I work too much. But we're having a good time. Many of you know that my mother died last November 28th, 2018, from an autoimmune disease that she had for about 3 years. And so, my dad's been up in Pennsylvania, but he's doing stuff. He sees friends and everything. But the reason I moved to this place, this now 2-bedroom, is so he could come down and hang out. And of course, we're splitting the costs. And he'll be going back a week, but then he'll be coming down for the winter. So maybe after college football season is over, probably. So there you go. So thank you all, Blaze, Jessica, Layla. Thank you all for the very kind words. Derek, Cherie, Mike, thank you all. And thank you for the nice things that you said about my dad there. Thank you. Okay, so there's the guest appearance. I know we had been talking about that for a couple weeks when I told you that he was going to be here. So I wanted to make sure they came in and made an appearance. So there you go. Okay, let's move on. Thanks, Dad. The next thing that I want to talk about is the missing TV show. This is something that I eventually got into last week before we had computer problems. But I'm wondering if, for those of you that knew that I talked about it last week, if you've been able to track it down on your local listings. Um, I found a listing for, it's in most American cities. This is a show that's done by Telco Productions, Telco. And the producer of it, his last name is Payne, Paen. And he's actually on the program. And the reason I'm bringing it up 2 weeks in a row is because I think I can now reveal this, although I think I talked about it last week too, is that I've now signed a contract with a production company to start throwing around ideas for a missing persons TV show. And one of my ideas is that you need to look at what's out there. So Disappeared and some of these other things. What are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? What can we do better, etc. And so I've been fielding a lot of questions and comments for people who have found that missing program, and it just seemed, I think it's a good program from a Susan saying, I found it and set my DVR but haven't seen it yet. Okay. Layla, it shows where you get your character integrity. My dad, thank you, Layla. That's very kind. Thank you. So I don't want you to get any ideas. I don't know where this is all going to go, but so for people who have tracked it down since I mentioned it the first time, I'm getting a lot of the comments that I expected. Seems like the program comes from the right place, trying to help. The problem is the production quality of it is kind of low. It's a little cheesy. You can tell that, of course, the guy is reading from like a script. You can see his eyes going back and forth. It's just not of a very high quality. And obviously, if I were to be involved in anything, the whole entire thing would have to be a lot better than that. But we are taking a look at shows like that, anything else that we can find, to see what they're doing and what we can do better. Because you have to remember something. As if you've seen the Missing Show, and it's on Sunday mornings, usually like 8:30 in the morning, but it's syndicated. Even though it might be cheesy, and the production quality might not be very high and everything, it's been on TV for about 15 years. So that's successful. That is a success. And I know that if I were involved with a missing persons program for 15 years on TV, that would be pretty fantastic, especially if it was being done the way I think it should be done. Obviously, that's the only way I would be involved in it. But to get something done that would last 15 years, that's something. So that show, even though it's not of the highest quality, it needs to be examined to see why it's been around for 15 years and what is it actually doing right. What is it about local affiliates that they like that program and play it? Uh, and States. It's in most major markets like Los Angeles, New York, Houston, all the Chicago, and it's on Sunday morning. It's only half hour long, and all they do is put up pictures of missing people with kind of a voiceover. It's kind of a kids show, kinda. And that's what I'm talking about. It's not on DirecTV. We don't have a DirecTV box upstairs and get it on the antenna. And LaFord's saying it's not the best production value. Blaze said there's one on YouTube called Mysterious West Virginia, done by a husband and wife. It's good. Yeah, Mike, there's no doubt that it's family friendly. And the truth is that most of the missing people are children. And it is, you will see when you watch it, there's the little EI in the bottom right-hand corner, which means that is considered educational for kids. That's why it's produced that way. Once again, though, the problem is it looks like a lot of the footage that they use when they do those little quizzes and things, they were done 15 years ago. And so we're going to try to do something that's better than that, but that can be as successful as that. So I guess what I'm saying is, even though it's not of the highest production quality, there's things that can be learned. But what I've learned from um, what I've learned is that uh, the listeners who have seen it kind of feel the same way I do about it. So I guess that my instincts on it are, very similar. You're looking at it in a very similar way to the way I'm looking at it, which I think will be helpful as I continue to work with this telco productions and trying to figure out, is there something that we can do? It may be that we don't get we can't get together on something. All right, that happens. TV very difficult. It's much easier to get a movie made than get a program on a major network. Anybody can get something on some channel that nobody watches. But if you want to get in front of a lot of eyeballs, there's only so many hours in a day for programming. So we'll have to keep that in mind. But we're going to work on it. I think I'm just going to be kind of an ideas guy. I don't have to do any selling or anything. So I'm coming to it from a standpoint of, how do we cover these cases, the connections I have in the missing persons community, and what my ideas are about making a syndicated program that is engaging, can last for a while, but also can have a reasonable budget. Miranda says, I watch that show every Sunday morning with my antenna TV. I didn't know it was called Missing, though. That's what it's called. Derek, hey, Sharia. Okay. Miranda, new host would improve the show. Yeah, the host of the show is actually the producer of the show, Miranda. All right, Derek. Derek's going to try to put a Philly, Jersey area meetup together. Let me know how that goes. Okay. So I just once again want to say, if you haven't seen it yet, please check it out. If you haven't seen it before, and if you get to watch it, please message me on Facebook or unfoundpodcast@gmail.com and tell me your thoughts about it, because I can assure you that your comments will be used moving forward, because I will tell them, here's what my listeners are saying about Disappeared. Here's what my listeners are saying about the Missing TV program. These are the things they like. These are the things they don't like. These are the things they think could be improved, etc. I'm going to try to use much of your input as possible. Okay? Blaze says, if you host someday, please dress like Robert Stack. Blaze, I don't think that's going to happen. And keep in mind, I have no interest in being on camera and everything, even though I've been on camera, even though I've done acting and modeling and all that stuff. I'll do it if that's what they want, but I think that my perception is I'm one of the few true crime hosts out there who is perfectly happy what he's doing. And I'm not laboring. I'm not desperate to get on TV. I'm not desperate to have a TV show, fiction or nonfiction. But if people are going to come to me with, hey, would like to talk to you about something, then I will entertain all ideas. All right, but I'm not actively searching. I'm not actively searching out. Now, if I commit to something, of course, as you would expect, I'm going to give it 100%. But I can tell you that this is the amount of TV production companies I've tried to contact cold since I started Unfound. 0. Every one a TV production company I've spoken to since this program started, they approached me first. Okay? That's just the way it is. Trust me, I'm busy enough as it is. Let me see. Just like Robert Stack. Miranda thinks I'd be a great host. I appreciate that. What movies would I see you in, Ed? My acting was all in entertainment live acting, Derek. I've done some independent movies. You can find them on imdb.com. You'll find me on there. The movies I've been in that I was a part of are terrible. If you ever get to watch any of them somewhere, they're terrible. They're PG. I don't want to think it was porn or anything, but they're terrible. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Um, so there's that. Um, but that's something, and actually, coincidentally, I'm going to be having a discussion with the production company, tomorrow morning, and I don't know really how much I can really say about what we talk about, but I just want you to know what we will be talking about. That's what's on my agenda for this, and I want to keep all of you in the loop because I think that your opinions are important. I think they are because I know that um, uh, many of you, maybe not all of you, but many of you are really, really, really into true crime, and you watch a lot of TV shows and you listen to a lot of, and you have your perceptions about what a TV show or something should be like. Okay? Just like before I started Unfound, I had a perception of what a good podcast would be for missing persons. This is what Unfound is. You are the same way. And so I want to make sure that I can incorporate some of your ideas and things into the planning and the development and all of that. So there you go. Let's go to. Let me see if I got any. Hold on one second. And let's see if I got any questions this evening. Let me see here. I don't think I did. We were a little light on the questions today, but we're going to give it a shot anyway, just to see what we have here. No, we only got a couple. Okay. Larry had asked me, I think he knew, I think, that it was going to be my dad was going to be the special guest. Does dad have poster hanging privileges? I can see some Hopalong Cassidy, the Four Seasons, and Rocky Blyer posters blending in exceptionally well. No. Larry, I don't know if you're going to watch this or not, but dad this is the room that he sleeps in. His bed is like right here. And no, he does not have any poster hanging privileges while he's here. I'm the one that lives here, so I'm the one that has to decorate. I will admit that some of the posters that I have hung up, he kind of raised an eyebrow at them, especially the Megadeth poster. But I'm the one that lives here. I'm the one that has to look at the walls. And if I'm going to have to look at the walls, then the walls are going to be adorned with things that I want to look at. Yes, Shuri, Charles Merritt guilty in the McStay case. Yes, he was found guilty. I didn't think that there was going to be much question regarding that, Shuri, but thank you for bringing that up and reminding me. Laura asks, here's a good question. Boy, this is a good one. Laura, I think I've seen all your cases, but I was curious to know who is the youngest case you have covered. So I'm guessing the youngest missing person. I'm going to have to say it was Bonnie Dagis's son, Jeremy, who is the youngest person that we've covered who went missing. Of course, that was a case from Florida from like 25 years ago. That's just over on the other side of Tampa in Brandon. Now, Laura, if you mean on its own, like a case on its own, with, of course, Bonnie and Jeremy, mother and son, disappeared. But a case on its own with the youngest person, I think it was Debbie Lowe, who was also another Florida case from Pompano Beach. In that one, the belief is that Gerard Schaefer, a serial killer, got his hands on her. I think that's off the top of my head, Laura. I could be wrong. I don't do many missing children for reasons that I've brought up before. But I think that Debbie Lowe, That was a case I'd covered, I'm going to say September, October of 2017. I think that that's the youngest missing person I've covered on her having her own episode. Whereas with Bonnie and Jeremy, of course, they're together. Um, Marcus, did Charles ever say why he killed the McStays? Um, Cherie would surely be a better judge of that, and she's already answering you. Didn't admit to killing them, but it was all financially motivated. That's Cherie knows way more about it than I do. If you're looking in the comments, how old was Debbie? Debbie was. Let me see here. I can check my list real quick here. Let's go down here. Debbie was 13. Now they're 13. Now at the end, we did cover Patty Taylor from Tulsa, Oklahoma, who was 15. But I'm thinking that Debbie Lowe, we had Danielle Bell, who was 14. But I think Debbie Lowe is the youngest. But once again, Mikhail Biggs. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Bree, that could be true, too. Let me see that one real quick. Mikhail, of course, I haven't forgotten about her. Sometimes, though, I do forget the ages. Yeah, 11. Yeah, that's getting young, too. Right. So, like I said, we haven't had too many of them. That's why I have to really, think about that for a moment. Yeah. And once again, if anybody's watching for the first time and what's he saying? What does he mean he doesn't cover too many missing children's cases? The reason that is, it's not because of Emily or because she gets most of the cases that we end up having on the program. It's really because in most cases, parents are the reason that these children have disappeared. And so in missing children's cases, it's hard to know who to trust. I don't want to have anybody on the program where later they end up being considered the main suspect. So it's just hard to cover children's cases. Also, even if it's a child abduction, like the mother taking off with the kids, the father taking off with the kids, well, the kids are missing and that parent is missing. Maybe they went to Canada. Maybe they got their identities changed. Maybe they went to Japan. I don't know. Even in those cases, it's hard to cover them because you only get one side of the story. You only have the parent that is still here saying, well, she took off with my kids. She was abusing them. She was this, she was that. And it's just difficult sometimes. Because you really don't know if you're getting the true story or not. It very well could be that a father took off with his kids because his wife's family was plotting to kill him or something. Just pick something like that. So it's just tough. It's just tough. Bree says children get more media attention than adults do. Most kids do, not all, sadly. Well, Bree, that's probably true. That's probably true. I know you don't cover kids' cases. Well, it's not, it's not that I don't cover kids' cases, Valerie. It's that if we're going to cover kids' cases, we want to make sure that the parents didn't have anything to do with that. And just to be honest with you, that's sometimes hard to determine. It's hard to determine. I'm not there. I'm here in Florida. I haven't met many of the guests in person. So it's not that we don't cover them. It's just if we're going to cover them, we need to make sure that the people we are talking to can be believed. And in children's cases, it's just tough to determine that. Bree says, I think Asha Degree was lured by somebody she knew. I just, once again, the name sounds familiar. Not familiar with the case right off the top of my head. Derek, since you live in Florida, what is your opinion on the whole Casey Anthony case? You know what, Derek? I have to tell you, Derek, I've been doing this program for 2.5 years now. You are the first person to ever ask me about her, which I think is interesting. It just occurred to me right now. I have to admit, Derek, I followed it a little bit. Of course, she killed her kid. I don't know what I don't. I'm not going to get too um, nuanced with this. Of course, she did it, and it shouldn't. Um, this is probably this goes back to what I just said about how it's hard to determine how to cover. It's tough to cover children's cases because parents are involved. Of course, she was involved in her child's case. Of course, she did it. It's we think of missing persons cases as kind of an epidemic. It is. The numbers are frightening. You know what else is frightening? The amount of parents who kill their kids and make their kids disappear. That's another frightening number. And she is in that category, in my opinion. Okay? Now, why did she get off and everything else? Why didn't she get the full brunt of the law and the book thrown at her and everything? I don't know. It's funny we're talking about. It's funny I bring that up because what's the 25th anniversary right around now? OJ. OJ, that was 25 years ago now. Same thing. I think that more people more and more believe that he killed Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman. Why was he found totally innocent? Not just a hung jury or anything, but totally not guilty. I don't know. Bree, Kaylee could have been taken care of by Casey's parents. They would have done it. Casey's case is such injustice. Casey's parents adored Kaylee. I don't believe that Casey's dad drowned her story. I don't believe that Casey's dad drowned her story at all. Joyce, my woman Joyce, she says she's guilty. They couldn't prove cause of death. Who Googles chloroform and the child goes missing? Bree says Kaylee's death was considered a homicide. I'm pretty sure though. Little bit kind of jumps in. How would you guys teach a 4-year-old stranger danger? A little bit. I wish I could help you. Unfortunately, I'm not a parent, so I'm sure some of the other people in here could help you with that. Sheree says that Kaylee had a damn good attorney, slime bucket, be really good against the law. Derek, too bad there's something called double jeopardy, so both OJ and Casey can't be tried. Yeah, well, that's just the way it is in the United States, and in fact, I think that most countries have some form of the illegality of double jeopardy. It's just the way it is. But I have to tell you, I didn't follow that case very closely. Of course, at one point you couldn't avoid it. The coverage of it, I realized a lot of you followed it and probably watched everything, but I think that it did get a little sensationalized and everything, and I can't help but think that the sensationalism of it maybe helped her be found not guilty. I just can't help but think that. I don't know. My perception was, why is there even a question here? She obviously did something to Kaylee. But I'm not an expert on the case, and it's not even a disappearance case. So, OJ was found liable for the deaths, right? I believe that's what happened, Bree. Yes. Bree says, I wasn't even born during OJ's case. I'm only 22. Bree, you're making the rest of us feel old. I remember exactly where I was during the Bronco chase. I can remember watching it. I was, 24 at the time? 23, 24? Crazy. Crazy. Time flies. Let's move on to something else. Let me get back to my outline here. Okay, we already talked about OJ 25 years ago. You know what I think? I just want to make one comment about OJ, just once again, from how things have changed. Uh, Imagine if he tried to do that now, or whatever happened, we would have social media stuff, we would have cell phone stuff. Those two things probably could have made a big difference. Although I think in OJ's case, there was an issue about the cell phone and things. But of course, the technology, the sophistication, the triangulation and pinging and everything, the technology is so known to everybody now and it can be much more easily done and everything that obviously social media and phone technology, advanced phone technology, would have played a much bigger part had that case been done today. In contrast to just having the glove and Kato Kalin and all of that stuff. It's amazing how you can look back at something like that and realize how much over 25 years so many things have changed. Funny. It's funny, Derek. That movie Double Jeopardy was just on TV today. Sheree says, I was unemployed during OJ and followed the case every day. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Sheree, that you were unemployed at the time. But I guess you had something to watch. Yeah, OJ hasn't paid the families anything. Yeah, because he doesn't, he's just broke. I mean, remember, the reason he went to jail is for something totally different that happened in Las Vegas when I lived in Las Vegas. Um, but that's how much things have changed and how more technology would have been used in his case in contrast to the glove and remember, even at the time of OJ's case, DNA was still a relatively new technology. That's how long it's been. That's how long it's been. And you go back to any big trials in the 1980s, DNA is not the way we understand it today. Isn't talked about at all. They talk about blood evidence and fingerprints and everything. It was in the 1990s where DNA really came to the forefront, and it started right around OJ's time. Lavorde said, I worked in New York City and the trial was on in every store and bodega you went in. Okay. Okay, go ahead and ask it, Bree. Do you guys think OJ committed the murders himself, or do you think he hired someone? I'm inclined to believe he did it himself. I am. But, so there's that. There was something else. Okay, I see what it says there. All right. Let's move on to something else. Let's talk about this case of Hobart Buxton, who went missing a little over a year ago. And his car, he went missing, I think, May 18th of 2018. And just within the last week to 10 days, his car was finally found in Oklahoma. He vanished from Lipscomb County, which is in Texas. Now, of course, Lipscomb County, is that how you say it? It's in my mind because I believe that's one of the counties where Nathan Lewis used to work. And I think that's one of the counties where Pine Gregory used to work, I think. That's why it's in my mind. But Hobart Buxton, he was an 80-year-old man who went missing over a year ago. And now within the last week to 10 days, his car was found in Oklahoma, just over the line, the border into Oklahoma. And then some remains were found. And of course, they're still getting tested to see if it's Hobart or not. And unfortunately, at this time, I think a lot of people are thinking that Hobart committed suicide. Yes, Carrie, I know that his granddaughter is in the group. And in fact, I will tell you, I think I can say this, that I was actually scheduled to talk to her about his disappearance when this all happened. Coincidentally, Stacy. Yes, I was supposed to talk to her on Monday. And, preparing for that initial conversation I've always told you all about, where I have initial conversation with a possible guest. We talk about the case and everything that's going on. We were scheduled to talk on Monday. We didn't do so. I texted her and I said, due to recent events. And she got back to me and she said, yep, And I said, I just want you to know that uh, you have Unfound's total support, and um, if there's anything that we can do, if it turns out that it's not Hobart's remains, that it's somebody else's remains, then we're here. But I just thought, under the circumstances of now that it was a real investigation, that probably wouldn't have been appropriate for me to talk to her, as a reporter and everything. So that's also why I'm talking about this. But so I knew that she's in the group, and Emily had lined up a time for me to talk to Stacy, and that didn't happen for obvious reasons. What's interesting, though, just in general, though, it is interesting to me that his car sat somewhere for over a year and nobody ran into it until recently. And of course, for me, what I start thinking about are all these cases that Unfound is covered where cars have gone missing. The person goes missing, the car goes missing. Right? Jeff Joseph, he and his car go missing. Eric Franks, he and his car go missing. Right? Esther Westenbarger, she goes missing, her Cadillac goes missing. And I think what this shows you is that it's possible for these vehicles to still be out there somewhere, not taken apart, not put in a barn, not driven into a lake. They can still be out there somewhere, and simply nobody's come across them yet. And this is what it shows me in over a year. Just think, a car sitting on somewhere. If it is Hobart and it is his remains, he went somewhere, drove it, probably on some dirt road somewhere, parked it, and nobody saw it until recently. And I realized from now on I'm going to think about that when we come into another case where a car is also missing. Blaze, did he have a dementia? Blaze, I don't know. I don't know. Bree says, right. How does somebody see a car sitting there? Usually cops see them right away. Well, it just depends, Bree, where it was. I wonder if it was off on someone's summer campsite, summer getaway place. Could be, Carrie, but the thing is, we have to remember, this disappearance took place May 18th of last year. So if we're to believe that the car sat there from May 18th till it was discovered, then you'd think other people would have run across it. Maybe there's something going on. It very well could be that he got carjacked. Could be. I don't know. But I'm inclined to believe that his car sat there for a long time, many months, and wasn't seen till recently. So, if it is Hobart, it is his remains and everything. It's very sad. It's horrible. But I know that in the capacity that I have, I also have to look at it from what can we learn from it? What can we use that we're going to find out about this case to apply it to the next one? Blaze said they find about one a year off the cliff in California where cars go off and you can't see them. Yeah. Okay. Carrie, if it was on private property and owners hadn't been back yet, that's possible too, Carrie. It just, I guess, the only thing I would say is that for owners to be away from their land for over a year, okay, maybe. I don't know. One more piece of, so there's that. I read about that, and like I said, I was supposed to talk to his granddaughter Stacy on Monday, and I just texted her and said probably not appropriate right now. Of course, if it turns out that those remains aren't his, but that is his car, then I would certainly like to still look at Hobart's disappearance, being that he would still be missing. And of course, it'd be interesting to find out if it's not his remains, whose remains are they? One more thing, and before we get to this week's case, and that is this very strange murder that happened in Arkansas. There was a politician or former politician. Her name was Linda Collins Smith. And she was murdered by another woman, a woman murdering another woman. Very rare in the United States. Very, very rare. She was murdered by another woman, Rebecca O'Donnell. Carrie saying, here that is about the end of summer season and found out about the start of it. Carrie saying that's why Ivy Bend is such a great dumping place. Of course, Ivy Bend is where Angie Yarnell disappeared from. Some are only there a few weeks total out of the year. Derek says, wow, a woman murdering a woman is rare. Cherie, that's right. Linda Collins Smith was a former state senator of Arkansas. And I think her claim to fame is she switched parties. I think she went from being a Democrat to a Republican, as I remember. And she was murdered by Rebecca O'Donnell. And the weird thing about this is that Rebecca O'Donnell worked on Linda Collins Smith's campaign. And they were very good friends. And in fact, there are now many pictures out on the internet. You can see them in pictures together, arms around each other, smiling and everything. Good friends. And the one killed the other one. And I don't know. I think it took them a couple weeks, the cops, to figure out exactly what happened. And of course, Rebecca will be innocent until proven guilty. But I've been looking into it, a little bit today, and I still can't. There is still no reason put forward that this happened, because everybody thought these two were very close. Now, my suspicion is maybe we're going to start talking about, was Linda Collins Smith husband cheating with Rebecca? Was Rebecca's husband cheating with her? It feels to me that this is going to end up being a lover's quarrel of some type. Or could it simply be that Rebecca just got ticked off because she supported a woman that then went to the other party? I guess anything is possible in politics. So, state representative, yes, Cherie, something like that. But if all of you are not familiar with this case, it caught my eye. I urge you to look it up, because one woman murdering another woman, once again, rare. And then on top of that, they were good friends, at least at one time. Obviously, at some point, the relationship soured. But this also reminds us is just because things are a certain way doesn't mean that's the way they're going to be forever. Just because people are friends doesn't mean that something bad isn't going to happen and one does something to the other one. In fact, as I'm thinking about this case, this murder case in Arkansas, I think of the disappearance of Greg Brooks, who was out and was seemingly supposed to go to two of his friends' house to see two of his friends. Never ended up there, and then his car ended up in the Tampa area, of course, but he was living over near Orlando. Did something go sour there? And that's what came to mind when I saw this case. Derek says maybe they started a fight about business or a love triangle over the same man and ended up in a cruel catfish murder. Derek, that sounds like a good possibility to me. Cherie says there is a divorce that's factored in there. That, Cherie, that probably true too. What's her name again? The victim is Linda Collins Smith. And the accused, let's just call her that, is Rebecca O'Donnell, Bree. LaFord says, yeah, I'm fascinated by it from day one. Okay, well, there you go. I wanted to talk about that because there's some interesting things there that I think we can learn from it that can apply to missing persons cases. All right, let's talk about this Friday's case. And that is the disappearance of Monica Appleton. This is a case from Texas. So Cherie and Emily and who else in here lives in Texas? We have another Texas case this week, and it's from Amarillo. So that's why I said at the beginning of this show that I'm hoping that Monica's family can find some time in July, late July, when the meetup is in Amarillo to go, maybe hand out some flyers, talk about Monica, talk about the status of the case. And I think that Sharman's going to try to get some local news to show up, and I think that that would be really, really good. Hopefully, that can happen. But Monica disappeared on October 13th, 1999, and from Amarillo, Texas. And even that, if you look in a lot of places, if you look at the Charlie Project, if you look at NamUs, they get the location wrong. She did not disappear from Pampa, Texas. She disappeared from Amarillo, Texas. So already regarding that, Unfound is going to try to correct the record. Let's see what, from what I've seen anyway, usually if a female kills a female, it's pure crime of passion. Could be Carrie. LaFord, she posted a Facebook picture of her and the rep after she was murdered. That's pretty cold, LaFord. But Monica's case is one that I started on last year, probably in October, is the first time that I talked to her brother Donnie, who is the guest for this episode. And then, of course, everything happened with my mom and went to Pennsylvania. And it was a case that kind of got put on the back burner, to be honest with you. And I'm very fortunate within the last few weeks, I was able to get in contact with Donnie again, talk to him, very eager to be on the program. And we did that interview, I believe it was last Thursday. And we're going to have it's our first male guest in 14 months. So I'm guessing we've done about, I don't know, 60 cases since then. The last male guest that we had on Unfound was Matt Copper. That was from April of last year to talk about the disappearance of his brother Al. So we're finally going to have another guy guest on, Donnie Brown, who is Monica's older brother. And the episode is called Change of Plans, because with Monica, she often got rides from Pampa, where she was living, to Amarillo, and her mother drove her that day. Her mother drove her from Pampa to Amarillo often, always dropping her off at the house of a guy. His name was Ivory Teeler, and if you can imagine it, he's not a very good guy. Into prostitution, into drugs, etc. Well, on the day that she disappeared, her mother drove her over there, and for some reason, Monica said, no, we're not going to Ivory's. Just drop me off here on the corner a couple blocks from where he lived. As soon as she got out of the car, she told her mother, get out of here, as if she was afraid of something. She was never seen again. So that's why we're calling this Change of Plans, where her mother thought one thing was going to happen, and then right in the middle of it, Monica switched things up. And so it's called Change of Plans. Of course, Ivory Teeler, he is the only known suspect in her disappearance, but, you know, the problem, of course, is that it seems that Monica didn't want to go to his house that day. And there's no proof that they ever did meet up that day. And there's a lot of rumors that Ivory had something to do with a lot of other young women's disappearances and murders. However, nothing's been able to be pinned on him, and no names have ever popped up, and I've looked into it myself. Really can't find anything. Unfortunately, Monica was a prostitute, so she could have been meeting anybody in Amarillo that day. But I interview her brother. He has a website. This is the first case in a while also where there's an actual website for the disappearance. I've linked to it in the discussion group on the Facebook page, so all of you can check it out. A very good website. One of the best missing persons websites I've seen. So please go check it out. Donnie has done a great job with it, and he's had it for like over 10 years or something like that. So, but that is the case for this Friday. The disappearance of Monica Appleton from Amarillo, Texas on October 13th, 1999. An episode we are calling Change of Plans. And the guest is her older brother, Donnie Brown. So there you go. And we've been doing this for over an hour. So did I miss anything? Oh, I know one more thing. I want to get the Unfound website redesigned. And I've had somebody doing it, and I haven't been putting much attention to it. And I think that I need somebody who has the skills and everything, but who is also interested in true crime, and somebody who has a lot of experience handling something like that. I don't mind paying somebody, of course, but I would like to get somebody within the Unfound world of listeners and everything that we could start talking about building a website from scratch. And it would be something where I have a little bit more input with the person who is building the website if I want things changed and things like that. So I'm just going to throw that out there for now. I don't need somebody who just wants to do me a favor just because they're really like the program and everything. I really need somebody who knows their stuff. Okay, and you really can build once again from scratch. Not something we're going to go into WordPress and just plug in stuff and everything. I think I'm at the point where we need something a little more sophisticated than that. I really do. And that's really all. I wouldn't necessarily say I've had any problems with the person I've had doing it, and he is not involved with Unfound at all. I don't even know if he listened to the program. I found him for something else that I was doing before Unfound and just kind of brought him into this. I think that I need somebody who just I can work with better. Okay? And this person will have to be also somebody that can work all that stuff out. Being that right now it's on another server, and of course the address and the website name and everything, I don't want anything to do with any of it. All right, I just want somebody that knows how to handle that and just does it. And if you think that you have a strong resume for doing something like that, then I'm all ears. Okay, but this can't be something that's just a hobby. Okay, this is going to be work. This will be like the work that, for example, Emily has been doing with me for over 2 years, where her finding people to get on Unfound is almost a daily job. Maybe it's just an hour, but she's going out there trying to find people on the program. This is, I think, what I kind of need for the website. Okay, I'm just going to throw that out there. It's the first time I've talked about it. First time I don't even point to people toward the website anymore because I just don't like it anymore, to be honest. So there's that. Cherie, please check into that for me. But there you go. Very early on. This isn't something that needs done tomorrow, but this is a long-term thing. Maybe starting, let's say, in September, October. So that's all I got. What did we do? My computer worked this time. Hooray. My special guest was my dad, the Christine Hamilton poll, the meetup in Amarillo, of course, the meetup in Dallas. So a little bit, whoever wants to publicize it in the group, I'll talk to Emily. Please do that. The missing TV show, the Unfound website. We talked about OJ. We talked about Hobart Buxton. We talked about the murder of the former politician in Arkansas. And then for this Friday, the disappearance of Monica Appleton from Amarillo, Texas on October 13th, 1999. You will hear that at 2 p.m. Eastern as usual. And I'm already lining up next Friday's interview. And that, I believe, is going to be a case out of... Where's that case from? I'm going to have to think about it. I don't know if I want to tell you right now. I'm going to keep that a secret for now. But all of you, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I enjoy this so much. Thank you for saying so many nice things about my dad. All of your compliments are completely true. Everything you said about him is absolutely true. He's great. So I will talk to you all soon. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. And thank you thanks to the computer for not messing up. Good night, everyone. Thank you. See ya.